What is up, Packers fans? Welcome into Pack-A-Day Happy Hour. I was here a few seconds early, so I figured why not start a few seconds early? Usually I'm a few seconds late, so I'm just trying to make up for lost time on other ones. Thank you guys so much for being here. It is Happy Hour. It's a special Happy Hour because it's game week. We are week one, Packers-Lions. We are just a couple short days away. In fact, 48 hours and 20-ish minutes away from opening kick, Lambeau Field, Packers-Lions. It is a good time to be alive. It is a good time to be a Packers fan. That is for sure. I know you guys are geeked out. I'm geeked out. And I said the other day, we've talked 7 months about the Green Bay Packers and about football without any Green Bay Packers or actual football being played. 7 months. And now we actually get real, solid, tangible football. It was great to see football last night. It was a really interesting game. That first, half-ish of the game was just nonstop scoring, and then nobody could score the rest of the game, basically. But it just made me thirst even more for this upcoming Packers game. I think Packers-Lions has the ability to be one of the games of the year right out the gate. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be highly contested. I think both teams really want this one. You have the addition of Micah Parsons. It just feels really, really fun. And like I said, I know you guys are super stoked about it, just as I am as well. Let's get quickly to our Luiges Pizza portion of this show, because we are presented today by Luiges Pizza. And I don't know about you guys of what your victory pizza routine is like. For me, I would love to have it directly after the game. I have to admit, I do run into just a little bit of an issue immediately following like the 3 p.m. or the night games, because I do the press conferences and then I have to drive all the way home. And by the time I get home, even for some of these 3 p.m. games, ends up being pretty late. So a lot of times I don't immediately go to the Luiges Victory Pizza until Monday, the day after. So I think I'm going to have to do that this week. My goal is to do Bears Vikings Luiges Victory Pizza, celebrating the Packers win from Sunday, and then hopefully watching the Bears and Vikings just tear each other to shreds and both teams don't look great. That's the plan for this upcoming week. I'd love to hear your victory pizza plan as well, but make sure you're getting it with Luiges Frozen Pizzas, luigispizza.com, and at Luiges Pizza on Twitter as well. All right, let's get to all of your incredible questions. I'm going to just start from the top today, get through as many as I possibly can. You want to make sure your question gets in, get those super chats in, but I'm going to try to get to as many as I can over the next hour or so. Dennis, thank you so much for becoming a brand new YouTube member. Take after Dennis. It's a great thing to do. Tons of extra stuff coming up this year. I want to be very clear on something, though. I saw a couple of people say something of like, oh, the Aaron Nagler stuff is only going to be members only. It's just, okay, first of all, the Nagler video that we did last year was also members only. That's also for Cheesehead TV subscribers. However, the Let's Talk Football episode with Aaron and I is on Cheesehead TV for free every single week. Plus, you're going to get at least 10 videos probably every single week here for free as well. So just know that there's going to be some stuff for members to give a little incentive there, but the vast majority of stuff, including Mike Wall twice a week, including Paul Farrington, Paul Brettel, Justice Mosqueda, Carmen Vitale, Perry and Grant, and everything else we do here every day is still going to remain. No paywall, nothing like that. The memberships are awesome. We really appreciate those, but it is not a mandatory thing to be involved here at Pack-A-Day. So I just want to let you guys know that as well. But Dennis, appreciate you signing up. Richard, the defensive end room is very deep now with the addition of Parsons. Do you see the Packers moving a player in a trade to help shore up a weaker position, trade them for future assets, or keep all of them? It's a great question, Richard. And I think what Green Bay is probably apt to do here is take the first month of the season to just evaluate everything. Where are they strong? Where are they weak? Where could they need help? Where do they maybe have some additional resources that they could maybe move in a trade if they felt like they actually needed to do so? I think doing anything now or like immediately following the Micah Parsons trade would have probably been a bit reactionary without actually seeing what happens in the course of a season. You also have to remember, even if it happens through that first month, there's always opportunities for players to improve or maybe mix and match in a different way. So I don't think you want to jump to any of that stuff too quickly. As soon as you trade away a Kingsley and Igbare, all of a sudden one of your other defensive ends get hurt, and now you're like, oh, I wish we had Kingsley and Igbare. So I think you have to let that stuff play out a little bit. Now, if you get to the bye week and your interior defensive tackles are really struggling, or maybe Nate Hobbs suffers a setback and, Javon Bullard's really struggling in the slot and your next guys up at corner don't seem like they're actually ready to play full NFL snaps, then maybe you do need to look at getting a corner. But even if it's a situation like that, we've seen Goody sign a Rasul Douglas off a practice squad before. We've also seen him sign, Robert Rochelle off a practice squad, and that didn't amount to as much either. It just, you never quite know how some of these things are going to go. But I think you let the season start to play out first. Then you base any sort of upgrades or changes based on what happens on the field. Maybe you don't need to do anything. Maybe you need to do a lot. Hopefully that's not the case. And then if you do need to do something, you look probably closer to the trade deadline of, oh, you have an excess defensive tackle, we have an excess defensive end. Let's make a swap here and see if we can both help each other, or spend some draft picks or get some draft picks. If all of a sudden you just feel like Colin Oliver's about to come back from the PUP list and you just have an embarrassment of riches at defensive end, your defensive ends are all playing great already. Some team calls up and says, hey, we'll give you a 5th round pick for Kingsley Enagbare. It's like, all right, well, maybe we can consider that. We save some salary cap space. We get a 5th round pick for next year. We're going to need some extra picks now that we've given away 2 first rounders for Micah Parsons. And, if all of a sudden you get to the point where Micah's playing great, Rashawn's playing great, LVN's playing great, Baron Sorrell looks good. Now Colin Oliver's coming back. Bretton Cox looks good. You look at it and you're like, all right, we got 6 guys. We don't even need Kingsley Enagbare. So if you can get something in that situation, great. Or if you can get a corner or defensive tackle back in that situation, great. But I think you let it play out first, see where injuries lie, and then adjust through the course of the season without being too reactionary or just too trigger happy, trying to spend the money that's in your wallet. And all of a sudden you have an emergency happen. You're like, really wish we could have that guy back. So just let it kind of play out through the course of the year and then adjust accordingly. Happy 2 years to you as well, Snoop Robbie Rob. Excited for the season to get underway. You and me both, my friend. John, happy Friday to you as well. Go Pack Go. Randy, 1.5 years goes fast. Thanks for the great work, Randy. Really appreciate that. And thank you guys so much for being members for so long. Michael just became a new YouTube member as well. Michael, you are the best. Thank you so much. All right. Back to the top here. All right, Go Pack. Do you think with Parsons, Jacobs, McKinney, Cooper, and hopefully Love, that those would be enough stars to win a championship? I think a lot of this is going to depend on Jordan, but I think if Jordan's answer is yes, if he's a top 7-ish top 10 at least quarterback in this league, I think you have that opportunity. I think Josh Jacobs at running back, I would even hopefully put Tucker Kraft in that conversation, maybe Zach Tom even in that conversation eventually. But now you've got Micah Parsons. I think Rashawn Gary is going to be better because he's opposite Micah Parsons. Edgerrin Cooper at linebacker, Xavier McKinney at safety. Hopefully Brandon McManus can be automatic at kicker as well. I think you've got the makings of it, because not only do you have those players, but you also have a really good core lineup where there's really good players all throughout, and there's not an inherent weakness on the team. There's a couple teams are going to try. I think they're going to attack the corners. I think they're going to attack the interior of the defensive line a little bit and see if Green Bay can hold up in a couple of those spots. We'll see if they can or they can't. But I think on paper right now, this team looks really strong. Don't have any major vulnerabilities. And if that's the way that it plays out, you can have a strong core with limited weaknesses and some really key players that can get you over the top. That's a Super Bowl recipe, and hopefully Green Bay can follow it. And some of those guys, specifically Jordan, maybe Tucker Kraft, Zach Tom, and a couple other guys can step up into that role as well. And then you're really cooking and have real opportunities for maybe championships, if not a championship. John, if Goody were hypothetically to sign Wilkins, would it be like when the Steelers signed Russ and paid him the vet minimum since his salary was already guaranteed? John, I'd have to look into that a little bit more. My assumption is that you're probably right, but also I do think the Raiders are trying to gain back some of the money because he didn't honor his contract and getting medical work when they felt he needed medical work and some things like that. So I think the answer to some extent is that it's complicated, but if everything is correct, then yes, I think he probably has offset language where, even if Green Bay paid him vet minimum or $5 million, he's still only he doesn't gain any more money. He gets less from the Raiders then and just gets that money from Green Bay instead, which makes no sense for for Wilkins in this situation. So I would assume if something like that did happen, it would probably be a 1-year vet minimum deal. Who plays the slot in small nickel if Hobbs can't go? Can Bo Melton do it? Did we see him there this summer? People say to move Keyshawn inside, but I think he's way better outside. I think you're going to have a few options. So let's play through this. Let's play through this in a variety of different ways. All right. In normal circumstances, what I believe Green Bay is going to do at corner is start Nate Hobbs and Keyshawn Nixon on the outside with Javon Bullard in the slot in what I consider base nickel. So how I would define that is 1st and 10s, more run situations. Maybe they're in 12 personnel, but just kind of some opening, starts of the drive, non-obvious passing downs. I'll put it that way. Non-obvious passing downs. Again, more your base nickel, Bullard in the slot, Nixon and Hobbs outside, of course, Williams and McKinney at safety. I think that's your base nickel. In base defense, I think it's Hobbs and Nixon on the outside with Williams and McKinney at safety. Although it would not stun me if we saw Javon Bullard with Xavier McKinney in base at safety, just because I think Bullard comes up from that safety spot to play the run really well. But either way, that's basically what I think you're going to look at there. And then in either small nickel or obvious passing down nickel, I think what you're going to see is Hobbs in the slot with Valentine and Nixon on the outside with Williams and McKinney at safety. That's my expectation for how it looks in a normal situation. If I were Green Bay, let's say Hobbs is able to go this week, but he's limited, right? He's not going to have a full helping of snaps. How I would do it is on base downs, real base 4-3. I'm going to go with Valentine and Nixon on the outside. So I'm just going to play those two corners on the outside. I'm not going to mess with Hobbs. In base nickel, I'm going to have Javon Bullard in the slot, and now I'm going Valentine and Nixon on the outside as well. And then in obvious passing situations, I'm going to do the what you would normally like with Hobbs in the slot, Valentine and Nixon on the outside, and then of course again Williams and McKinney at safety. So that's what I would do if he's limited. If he cannot go at all, if he's just a scratch and it just doesn't work out, I think there's a really strong chance that there is no differentiator between base nickel and obvious passing down nickel. I think Javon Bullard just stays in the slot, and I think you've got Nixon and Valentine on the outside. That would be my guess. If they want to go with a better cover player and take Javon Bullard off the field in that situation, which I don't think is the worst case scenario in the world, I think you're going to have three different options. The first is that you could just put Bo Melton in the slot. I think that is an option there. The second is that you put Bo Melton outside and put Keyshawn Nixon in the slot. And the third would be that you put Kamal Hadden on the outside and then put Keyshawn Nixon in the slot. I would kind of lean towards Kamal Hadden on the outside, or maybe even Melton. I don't know. It's a really difficult conversation, but my guess is they're going to go Bullard in the slot with Valentine and Nixon on the outside if in fact Hobbs can't play. That'd be my guess, but we're going to have to kind of wait and see. But certainly some optionality there for Green Bay with what they want to do. All right, Eric, can I explain the difference between Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker? Edge is just Quay with better instincts. No, I wouldn't put it that way. I think Quay is a little bit more physical. I think Edgerrin is a little bit quicker and a little bit more dynamic and just an explosive first step. I mean, just an absolutely explosive first step. I think Edgerrin has better instincts. I think Quay plays the mic a little bit better because he does have a little bit better that physicality, whereas Edgerrin is a true kind of weak side linebacker that you kind of want playing in tandem with somebody who can play the mic. I think Quay ends up having to do a little bit more of the dirty work, and I think Edgerrin gets a little bit more of the flashy stuff, but I think they're both very talented. I think they're both freak athletes, but to me, Quay, good, solid, sound middle linebacker with great speed. And to me, Edgerrin Cooper is a star in the making. So some nuances there, but give me Edgerrin Cooper, but they're definitely tasked with different things as well. All right, Ben, any observations from the game last night? Dallas's run defense looked minimally better. Doesn't matter when Hurts has 8 seconds to throw the ball or a rush lane pops up for him to take off for 15 yards. Yeah, so I mean, just a few observations. First of all, I thought Dallas's offense looked good. If CD Lamb doesn't drop, 3-4 passes, I think they're really cooking, and I think they have an opportunity to win that game. I thought they were very impressive overall. Their offensive line looked good. I would have liked to have seen them maybe go out, I'm not personally because I don't want them to succeed, but if you're a Cowboys fan, I would have liked him to get maybe a more dynamic running back. I think it cost them on the one play where Miles Sanders couldn't get that one in the end zone. And, if a linebacker is as fast as Zach Bond and as great as Zach Bond is, if a linebacker is chasing you down from behind, you don't have that breakaway speed as a running back. That can be a problem at times. So not only did he not finish that run with the touchdown, but then he fumbles. But overall, I thought Dallas on offense looked good. Defensively, you could just tell. Now, I will give them a little bit of a hall pass on this one because they go against two of the best tackles and the best tackle tandem in the league in Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. That is not an easy task for guys like Donovan Ezeraku making his NFL debut. I'm willing to see what that looks like with a little bit more time. I thought Kenny looked good on the interior. I did think the run defense held up mostly well, not including Jalen Hurts scrambles. But to your point, the corners, Diggs and in Bland and those guys, like they're not going to be able to jump those routes or get their hands on balls if you're not getting any pressure up front. And it was a struggle, and Jalen Hurts ran all over the place as well. So I think there's work to do still with that defense, and we'll see how they kind of go about doing that. Again, maybe it's better not going against Eagles and their really impressive offensive line, but that's going to have to get better. But I did think their offense, sans CeeDee Lamb drops, looked really good last night. Best not to overreact to week one. Forget that if they win, though. That's well said, Dennis. If they win, overreact all you want. Most hated Chicagoan. Packers over Bills in the Super Bowl. 49ers are the number 1 seed in the NFC, and Lions, Chiefs, and Bengals missed the playoffs for my hot takes. Glad you have us in the Super Bowl. I had the 49ers missing the playoffs in totality. Wow, the Eagles are signing veteran pass rusher Zadarius Smith. So Zadarius Smith is now a Philadelphia Eagle. 1-year deal with upside to $9 million. Crazy. Did not see that one coming. So that's an interesting transaction. That will certainly help their defensive line a little bit. I'm interested to see the corresponding move there, but they lost Josh Sweat. I didn't think the Eagles' defensive front looked anywhere near as dynamic last night. So listen, Zadarius Smith has a shelf life. No team basically has wanted him. Green Bay had him the 2 years, right? Baltimore did not re-sign him after that first rookie contract. Green Bay had him for 3 years, but really it was 2, and then the falling out the third year. And then after that, it's basically been everywhere for a year. Minnesota for a year, Detroit for a year. He's probably going to get 1 year in Philly. He just has a shelf life. He'll come in and play and do some things for you right away. And then every team is like, I think we're good at this point. So we'll see if he can add anything to Philly. Hopefully the answer is no, but an interesting signing there. But yeah, most hated Chicagoan. I did not have 49ers in the playoffs. So we'll see which one of us ends up being right there. You have him number 1 seed. I have him not making the playoffs at all. Braden, thank you for becoming a new member. Appreciate that as well. All right. Randy, heard on the Pat McAfee show this morning, they're letting teams bring their own K-balls, and that's why the kick distances have exploded this year. Actually talked to Mason Crosby about that this morning on the Mason Crosby show, and he did say that can be a huge benefit for the kickers. So look for the kickers to have a little bit of an advantage, maybe kicking some extra long field goals. I think McAfee said that it can have like a 10 to 15 yard additional distance just based on being able to bring your own K-balls. So we'll see if that's true or not, but they definitely drilled some 50-yarders plus last night. Hopefully that's an advantage for Brandon McManus as well. Over under 5 Tucker Kraft quarterback sneaks this year. I'll say right around that. I'll take the under if I was betting, but I don't have a great feel for this. It was one of those things that they kind of used as a surprise last year. I don't think it's going to be a surprise anymore. So I'm not sure if it still has the same impact. If they're going to do it, I've seen teams that like just break the huddle and immediately get up to the line, and then Kraft's just there already as the quarterback, and you break it quick and teams can't adjust to it as quickly. I think I almost like that a little bit more than putting him in motion and having him go quick. Once you put him in motion, like kind of all eyes are on him, and then he gets under center, and then everyone like gets in the middle. I mean, it's worked. So I guess keep doing it until somebody stops it. But I don't know that I need the surprise aspect. In fact, I just line him up under center if you're going to do it. When Jalen Hurts is under center, everybody knows exactly what's coming. It's not a surprise tactic. It's just you can win with that play. So if Green Bay is going to run with Tucker Kraft as the QB and put him in that situation, then just get up there, run the tush push, get the guys right behind him, put Jordan Love out at wide receiver if you need to in that situation, and kind of go from there. But yeah, I think we see a little bit of it, but right around 5 sounds about right. You see, Tazim is predicting the Packers go 15-2. He's underrating them 17-0 regular season with wins over Detroit, Rams, Philly, and Bills to bring home the Lombardi. I don't see 20-0, John, but I will gladly be wrong if that ends up being the case. Thanks, Andy. Oh, the Andy fix we all need. Sorry, I thought I read it wrong. My apologies. Will, thank you for being here, and thank you for all the support. Andy, go Pack. Is Hobbs out? Who else isn't playing around the bubble? We have not, at last I checked, got the injury report as of yet. Everybody practiced today, though. So everybody practiced, all 53, and that's a really good sign for everyone playing. My guess is that you're going to get an injury report that says Micah Parsons, Nate Hobbs, Jaden Reed, and Savion Williams are questionable, and everyone else doesn't have a designation. That's my prediction for it. And I believe that Parsons will play. I think Reed will play. I think Hobbs is probably the real true questionable one. Maybe Reed as well. Those two are maybe a little bit more up in the air. And then Savion, whether he is ready or not. My guess is he's inactive. I don't know if we'll know if that's due to injury or just being inactive, but my guess is he will be inactive just due to all the lost time. So that's my prediction, but we do not have the official injury report as of yet, but trending in the right direction for pretty much everyone. All right. Any updates on injuries? Nope, nothing yet, except for everyone practiced today. I think all the negative talk on Parsons is just Cowboy fans coping. The future looks bright. Yeah, turn on the tape. He's really, really fun. I'm not saying it's going to necessarily be perfect at all times, but he's going to be a big time addition to this team. And I mean, you started with Preston Smith last year, who is currently not in the league as your starting defensive end. You still have Rashawn Gary. You still have LVN. You still have this defense pretty much intact. I mean, I know TJ Slayton and Kenny Clark are gone, but man, you are adding Micah Parsons to this defense. It's impossible to do anything but get better after doing that. How much better? That remains to be seen, but it's going to be better, and he's going to be a weapon up front for Jeff Hafley. There are no two ways around that. Currently reading the Tyler Dunn, Caleb Williams article, and it's one of the most insanely scathing things I've ever read. Looking forward to checking that one out, very much so. Packers 28, Lions 27, fatal massacre. I'm in the same boat. I think this is going to be a 1-point win for Green Bay. Don't exactly know the score yet. I'll predict that on my final prediction show for Sunday, but a 1-point win is kind of where I'm leaning as well. As long as Micah doesn't go spit on Goff, we'll be off to a better start than the defending. Can't talk today. Starting over. Much better. As long as Micah doesn't go spit on Goff, we'll be off to a better start than the defending NFC champs. Yeah, that was a crazy start to the game. I've told you guys before, I'm a sucker and I just kind of believe people too much sometimes. I kind of believe Dak. I don't think he was spitting at Jalen Carter in that situation. I don't know. I'm willing. I'm keeping an open mind about it. I haven't made like the firm determination, but I kind of think he didn't actually spit at Jalen Carter, or at least like he may have like spit in his direction, kind of knowing what he was doing. But I definitely don't think that there was intent to like loogie on Jalen Carter. I don't know the distinction there. I don't know the, rules of engagement, as if like, if there's one loogie in your direction, are you able to loogie back? I don't know. I tend to believe that Dak either just spit on the ground or spit kind of in the direction of Jalen without really having the intent to hit him. Jalen definitely had intent to hit Dak, and I think hit Dak, right? So, a little bit different there, but either way, what a bizarre way to start that game. Nicola, Andy with injury sliders off. Who is our most impactful receiver, 0 or 9? I would take 9, just because I know what I'm getting. With 0, I think I might get something a little bit better, but it's a little bit more of a mystery box. And I think if Christian's just healthy all year long and you turn that injury slider entirely off and you're going to get really good Christian Watson all year, I would probably go with that. I also think that Christian impacts the game in so many ways, as a blocker, as a decoy down the field. Like, he opens up so many different things. So I would go with Christian, but I'm willing to, I'm happy to be wrong on that. If Golden just goes out and balls out, and I think there's a good chance that Golden can be better. It may take a year or two for him to get better, but I would say Christian, but it's really close. And I would not disparage anyone from taking Matthew Golden in that situation. What do you think the stat line is for Love, Jacobs, and Golden on Sunday? Oh, Adam, I have no idea. I bet Love throws for like 250, 2 touchdowns. I bet Josh Jacobs has 96 yards and a touchdown. And I bet Golden has 78 yards, no touchdown, but like 4 for 78, something like that, with an impressive, efficient day. I'll go something in that regard. I do not believe Jalen Carter should be suspended for spitting on Dak. I think he served his 1-game suspension already, in my opinion. There's no need to take him out more than that. He didn't stab the guy. What are we doing here? I get it's disrespectful, but like, if he punched him in the face, does he even get suspended for a game if he punched him in the face? Like, if you threw a punch in a game, you're out for that game and then you're back the next one. There's no lingering after that. And a punch is way worse than, to me, like, if I'm gonna have Jalen Carter either punch me in the face or hock a loogie at me, by all means, loogie away. I'm not taking it. But so I don't know. Like, he served his time, in my opinion. No need to do anything more than that. Any chance you could convince them to expand to Colorado? I want to try Luigi's and feel left out. I hope they expand everywhere, Ben. They should. There's no reason they shouldn't. It is a premium pizza at a really good price. And yeah, I don't know why. Here's what I would say to everyone that's in Green Bay and in the surrounding areas and where Luigi's are at, keep buying them because then they'll continue to get elsewhere. So just keep buying them and then good things will happen. You know who the Cowboys needed last night? Micah Parsons. Jared totally agreed. My bold prediction is Evan Williams makes the Pro Bowl and gets all pro votes. Ooh, Matthias, I think the first part of that I could probably get on board with. I think he could have a Pro Bowl season. I think all pro is a little too steep. Just have to remember, like, a lot of these all pro votes and things like that, it's kind of popularity contest and you kind of have to be established already. Not always. Look at what Zach Bond did a season ago. That's a great example. Sometimes you can have that season where it's like, oh my God, look at he's out at like unbelievable out of nowhere. I don't think it's impossible, but I think all pro might be a little bit steep, but I guess, and you're just saying all pro votes, not necessarily an all pro selection, but Pro Bowl, I definitely think if he has a good year could be, in that range. Very excited about our chances coming out of the NFC after watching the game last night. And just remember, and I think Jay Money, this is probably a good reminder to everyone, and somebody mentioned it earlier as well. Week 1 is not a good indicator of anything. Philly in their first 4 weeks of the season last year was 2-2 and did not look like the juggernaut that they ultimately became. We're not going to know a lot about these teams until we start getting to week 7, 8, 9. It's just a reminder too, if Green Bay comes out and wins 42-0 or loses 42-0, I mean, obviously, if it's that much, you're probably going to jump to a few more conclusions. But let's just say if Green Bay wins by 10 or loses by 10 or anything in between, it's not necessarily an indicator of how the season's going to go in totality. It's a good first impression or a bad first impression, but there's a long season to go where you can still get yourself back in things or get worse as the season goes along too. So there's, as Aaron Nagler would say, a lot of ball game left. And that first week is a lot of weird things happen. A lot of weird things happen, including guys getting suspended for hawking loogies at the beginning of the game. So yeah, it's just take it one step at a time and try not to jump to too many conclusions too fast. Michael, I think I thanked you for becoming a member, but just in case, thank you again. Hey, Andy, I'm worried the trade will get blown up due to the injury. Need to see him play as a Packer to relieve the anxiety. Anyway, what do you think is the most important key to winning week 1? Let me start by saying this, Dan. A couple things on the Micah Parsons injury. There is nobody anywhere that believes that Mike is not playing this week. I mean, there is nobody. That's number 1. Number 2, Green Bay does not finally get ultra aggressive, trading away 2 first-round picks, Kenny Clark, and giving a player the highest defensive contract ever if there's any sort of serious back injury that comes along with it. If they had any thought that there was a lingering back issue that was even going to cost him 4 or 5 games this season, they don't do that deal. That's not the way that they would go about doing this. He passed the physical. And then, by the way, not only did he pass the physical, he practiced every day this week. And I don't know if you've seen the practice clips coming out of 1265, even from the individual stuff. That dude is working his back around with medicine balls and jackknifing sleds up in the air. I mean, it's insane. He might as well be doing like Cirque du Soleil and balancing cement trucks on his back like that. He's fine, guys. He's fine. I'm not saying that there might not be a little bit of a back tweak there or something like that. I'm not saying his back is maybe 100%. This to me is probably much ado about nothing, and I wouldn't lose any sleep over it at the moment. Now, if it becomes something, all right. But at this point, it doesn't seem like almost anything. So I wouldn't be too concerned as of right now. As far as the second part, what do you think is the most important key to winning week 1? Can't get off to a slow start. Green Bay did way too much of that last year. They've got to get off to a much stronger start and be ready to dictate terms from that opening snap, from that opening kickoff. We saw last year, Keyshawn Nixon fumbled right away. It has to be better, and they have to come out ready to play immediately in this game and can't get off on the back foot. I need to see them start strong and then continue that for 4 quarters. That to me is one of the biggest things. Tulio, Andy, what's up? No pressure, but I just turned off Djokovic versus Alcaraz to watch your happy hour. Are they playing right now? That's a good match. I would not blame you if you wanted to go watch that. All right, so Alcaraz won 6-4. Djokovic is up 3-1. Yeah, that's a really good one, Tulio. I will not judge you if you want to go and finish watching that, but dual screen it, my friend. Watch the tennis game, and then you've got the Pack-A-Day happy hour in the background to listen to. So there's ways to go about doing this for sure, but that's a good match, and I appreciate you being here, Tulio. After seeing the structure of the contract, do you still think Gary can't be back on his current salary? I don't know that I ever said that, to be honest. And I certainly don't think I said it because I didn't look at it that closely. But so Rashawn next year has got what, 28 million on his cap number. You've got 17 million dead cap and 10 million cap savings. I tend to think that there's a good chance that he's back or gets restructured, but yeah, I think there is a real chance that he gets back. I just think it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of navigate that. But no, I don't think there's any strong conclusion to come to yet, simply based on where things are at now. They'll have the ability to keep Rashawn Gary next year if they want to. All right, Zane Anderson, Nate Hobbs, Micah Parsons, Jaden Reed, Baron Sorrell, Dontavian Wicks, and Savion Williams, all questionable. Elton Jenkins and Jordan Love have no injury designations whatsoever. For the Lions, Jamarco Jones, Trevor Nowasaki, and Sione Vakai are out for Detroit. Everyone else is good to go. Isaac Tesla, Taylor Decker, and Keondae Awasaka have no injury designations for this game. There is your updated injury report. All right, really quick. Let me get to this. Let me see if I can do this the right way. I'm going to probably butcher this doing this the first time. So stand with me for just a moment. All right. Got to move the comment away. All right. I think I did it. Okay. So I just want to go over my picks for Sleeper for tonight really quick, because I actually think these are really fun ones. And Sleeper, first of all, has basically a free pick in Patrick Mahomes for over 0.5 passing yards. So if he passes for 1 yard, you are good to go. I feel very confident that Patrick Mahomes, unless he spits on somebody, is going to have that at least half of a passing yard. Keenan Allen. This is the tough one for me, but 38.5 receiving yards. They've kind of remade this receiving room for the Chargers. They drafted Trey Harris in the second round. They brought back Quentin Johnston. They still have Ladd McConkey. And if you're not familiar, their late round wide receiver, Keandre Lambert-Smith, has also been really impressive in preseason. Yes, they go get Keenan Allen. Yes, I still think he's going to play a role, but he's also kind of that possession guy now. And, if he ends up with 3 catches, it's probably for about like 33 yards, maybe 36. But I think that feels about right. So I'm going under the 38.5 receiving yards for Keenan Allen, or I should say fewer than. And then Harrison Butker, more than 1.5 field goals made. That's what I feel like. This to me is not going to be super high scoring. I think you're going to get these defenses being able to bend but not break a little bit, which is going to lead to some of these field goal attempts. So I'm kind of going where this ends up being more of like a 23-20 game, not like a 38-34 game. But I feel really good about Patrick Mahomes, more than 1.5 passing yard. Keenan Allen, more than 30.5 receiving yards. And Harrison Butker, Keenan Allen, less than 38.5 receiving yards, and Harrison Butker, more than 1.5 field goals made. Let me know what you think. Am I right? Am I wrong? I would love to hear from you guys. Hit me up in the chat. But go check out Sleeper. They do an unbelievable job. In the comments today, or the link today is in the show notes, so you can get the link over there. Make sure you use code PACKADAY to get 100% match up to $100. Again, use code PACKADAY to get 100% match up to $100 over at Sleeper. Super easy to use, by the way, I will mention as well. Let's see if I can transition back here. We're going to this. Oh, we are so back. All right, cool. That was way easier than I expected that transition to be. All right. Where do we go here? We were at talking about tennis last, right? Tulio. Where did Tulio go? All right. Okay, we talked about Gary. All right, here we go. Hey, Andy, the wife and I got great tickets right behind the bench on Sunday. Micah Parsons' debut. Here we come. Duff, that is awesome. Congratulations to you, and enjoy the heck out of that game. Make a ton of noise on defense. That's your job, my friend. From all of us here at Pack-A-Day, if you are going to the game, your job is to create chaos on defense. Silent on offense, but wild as hell on defense. Make as much noise. If anyone behind you tells you to sit down, you have Andy Herman permission to flip him the bird and say, go bleep yourself. That's what you're doing in that situation. You are making noise on defense. That is your given right, your Lombardi given right as a Green Bay Packer fan. Not only that, it's your duty as a Packer fan. So make that noise on defense. Enjoy the game too. As bittersweet as it is losing Kenny Clark, maybe him being in Dallas will shine a light on him that he didn't get in Green Bay, and hopefully he'll get a little bit more national recognition. I mean, Kenny's just a really good player. I don't know that Kenny's ever really truly been like a, first team all pro star, and Aaron Donald, a Chris Jones, anything like that. He's just a stud, and he's a stud from day one. He's been a stud all the way up. And last year, obviously dealing with injuries, but he'll be a stud for Dallas too. He's probably in that point of his career where it's going to be tough for him, I think, to still be a quote unquote star, but he'll definitely get the recognition, and he's going to have a really good season for them. I don't have much thought about or much. I don't think anything different. I think he's going to have a really good year. Andy, how many snaps do you see Micah playing this week? I think in that 40 to 45 range would be my guess. So if it's like a 65 to 70 snap game on defense, I bet he's in 40 to 45 primarily on passing downs. Just my prediction there. Wouldn't shock me if he got to 50. Micah said something about him never not having a Pro Bowl All-Pro corner on his team besides X. Which player in the secondary would you bet has the best chance to be that guy? Happy Friday, everyone. Evan Williams, we talked about earlier. I think Evan Williams would probably be the next up. I think he's the next best player in the secondary. I think it's going to be hard for Nixon to get there. I think it would be a little bit, maybe Hobbs could do that in his first year in Green Bay. Maybe he can have a huge season, but it's tough for Valentine too, because I don't know if he's going to be a full-time player in some of those situations where it's Bullard, Nixon and Hobbs on the field. So I guess I'll go Hobbs would be my guess, but I just think the truth is they don't have that all-pro corner, but I think they have an all-pro safety. I think they've got maybe a Pro Bowl safety, and I think they've got 3 starting caliber corners, not to mention Javon Bullard, who I think is going to be much better this year too. So no concerns about the safety. You don't need all pros everywhere. That's not what you're trying for here. I think they have good, solid players that hopefully can hold their own and do their 111th on defense. And sometimes it's all you need. Watch Micah answer 15 minutes of questions in the locker room, and I loved his vibe. Trick plays are for those who can't beat you physically. I say meet me in the middle. He's not wrong. And there's very much a mentality about that around the league of if you're the one that's pulling out trick plays, you're the one that doesn't feel like you can win the game straight up. Like you have to do some desperate things. Now, I think Andy Reid and Ben Johnson have sort of poo-pooed that and said, no, guys, we've been 2 of the best teams and we're going to continue to run trick plays. We just think it's an advantage if you can do it. I honestly would like to see Matt lean into it a little bit more. I'm not saying a ton, but I think if I were a coach, I would have 1 trick play every single game. I think that is honestly is something that you should have. You should have an ace up your sleeve at some point every single game that some team does not see coming, and that you practice during the course of the week and are ready to call it at least once. That's my feel on it. If you're not, doing something a little devilish, you're probably not trying your hardest. Try something out. It may not always work. Sometimes they may be on top of it. It's hard to come up with new stuff, but I do think you should have at least 1 trick play every single week in your playbook that you can go to if you need it, or just run it for the sake of running it. Just give some other teams more things to think about that you're going to try something at some point. I think sometimes when you win against Detroit and Ben Johnson, you were so concerned about the trick play at times. You almost didn't play every other play straight up because you were wondering if there was going to be a wrinkle on top of it, that they were going to do something unique off of it. So I think that can be an advantage for you as well. And that's why I say, I think if it were me, I would run at least 1 trick play every single week. But I do like, to your point, Tulio, I do really like his vibe as well. I did see the Cowboys game, and I did think Kenny looked good. I mean, again, he looked like Kenny Clark, which is a really good football player. That's what I saw from Kenny yesterday. Tulio, you ready to go with war with him? It's an easy thing to do. He's a very charismatic guy for sure. Watched Kenny a lot last night. Did not think he played well. That's interesting, Dennis. I thought he was solid. I was curious. I didn't even look yet what PF gave him last night. Kenny Clark got a 60.7 grade, so right average for them. 1 pressure, 3 tackles. I'll say I didn't watch the L-22 of him, so I can't speak to it in any great way, but he played 40 snaps his first time in Dallas. I thought overall he was good. And I think he'll probably, that's probably like the barometer for him. I think he'll only get better from there. Andy, what do you think the odds are for breakout seasons from Carrington Valentine and Devontae Wyatt outside of the obvious one of Cooper? Yeah, I am less confident in Wyatt. I think he's had a few seasons now to have breakout seasons, and maybe this is the one, but he's 27 now, 4th year in the league, or maybe even 28 this year, 4th year in the league. And, I just think you kind of know what you're getting. You're getting a good pass rusher. I would like to see him better against the run, but I'm a little less optimistic about a breakout at this point Or he just turned 27 in March. But it's not impossible, but I would say Carrington Valentine would be the one I would lean towards just a little bit more here. I think he ends up becoming a really good corner for Green Bay. He's got unbelievable instincts. I think he starts to trust those more. I think the game slows down for him a little bit. I think he could have a really big season. So if there's a breakout player there, I would take CV in this case over Devontae Wyatt. What do we do if offensive mistakes and drops continue last year and don't improve? No more young team excuse. Well, first of all, they are still going to be the youngest team in the league, and they got younger by going from, Kenny Clark to Micah Parsons, believe it or not. But I agree with you in general that that excuse is dead. And even last year, it's still not an acceptable excuse, quite frankly. You have to be prepared for games. And if there's a couple regular season games this year where you've got some drops or some undisciplined stuff, kind of undoes you. And you're going to end up with probably 5 losses on the season, almost no matter what. It's just going to happen. Really tough schedule. If it's better than that, great. But you probably have 5. It's going to happen in a couple games. But on the total, I need to see drops decrease a ton. I need to see those mental mistakes go way down. It goes back to Brian Gutekunst's comments. It is time for urgency. It is time to start winning championships. And you have to have great attention to detail, and you have to be willing to put in the time. Matt also talked about it very much at the starting of training camp of saying it's the attention to detail stuff. That's the stuff that puts you over the top. Everyone's got good football players. Everyone's got good schemes. Everyone's got good coaches. It's the ones that care the most and put the most time, effort, and energy in, and make sure that you're not making those little mistakes and that you're doing the little things right. That ultimately puts you over the top. So I'm with you. I think it needs to be better, and hopefully we see that this upcoming season. Can't imagine the crowd reaction when Micah gets announced and he gets his first sack. Going to be awesome. It's going to be a sweet experience at Lambeau this week. I really think so. If you're in a position where you can somehow find a ticket or get there, I think this is one you're going to want to be at. I think this is one you're really going to want to be at. That's just my thought on it. I know not everyone is in the area. I know not everyone has the means to do so, but if you have the means to do so and you're in the area, even if you're paying a little bit more, I think get to this one. That would be my advice. It would be awesome if he got to Detroit right away. Although I will take a clutch sack more than a first drive sack, but I'll take setting the tone right away. I would not have any issue with that at all. Do you think we saw a potential blank Green Bay can stop the tush push from last night? Fatal Massacre. I know this is a happy hour, but my guy, slow down a little bit, maybe a little water and then get back to the tequila. Do you think we saw a potential way Green Bay can stop the tush push from last night's game? I think I deciphered that for you, my friend. I think they were good at it last year. I think they've been actually one of the teams that's been okay at stopping the tush push. So I don't have a ton of concern about that. It's a play, quite frankly, where if the other team gets into it, I just expect the team that's doing the tush push to be successful on it. Your best way of stopping it is not getting into 3rd and inches and 4th and inches. You got to stop them 3rd and 5, 3rd and 8, 4th and 5, 4th and 8, and make it so that they're not in those positions in the first place. When will the big sports show start reporting Micah's contract? Right, it's 42 million, not 47. Does anyone do any homework? Yeah, no, they don't. Also, you have to remember sometimes, whether it be networks or the big reporters are in line with the agents, right? So they are working with the agents. They get the big stories, the big scoops in return. You report it as a $47 million or $47 million per year deal rather than a $42 million per year deal. Now, here's what I'll say, Jared. There are different ways of looking at this, okay? The extension for Micah Parsons is a 4-year, $47 million per year extension. That's the extension. Mike already had that year under contract. He was already set for that season. So the extension is a 4-year, $47 million per year extension. But because that first year is included in that with what he was already set to make, now that all combines into one 5-year sort of extension, which makes it ultimately a $42 million per year, 5-year contract, even if the extension was technically a 4-year, $47 million per year extension. So you just have to really look at the wording. They already had a contract in for this year, right? And now they're adding 4 years, $47 million per on top of this, which amounts to a 5-year, $42 million per year total contract. So just be careful of the wording. And every time these are reported, be careful of the wording. But it just depends on how you want to report it. If you want to report it as a 4-year, $47 million extension, you can do so. If you want to report it as a 5-year, $42 million per year contract, you also could do so. Just depends on how you want to report it. Dan O said on PMS earlier today that he thinks Jordan could play at an MVP level this season. He predicted Jordan Love as MVP, did he not? I thought he did. Maybe it was somebody else, but I thought it was Orlovsky that predicted Jordan Love at MVP. But there's been some of that buzz out there. I hope they are right. I really hope they are right. Hear me out, since the Packers are unleashing the other, getting crazy with numbers now. Hear me out, since the Packers are getting crazy with numbers now. A lot of you guys really getting into the happy hour early today. 00 for Cooper instead of 56. What do you say? First of all, I love 56. I wouldn't change that at all. I don't know if you can have a 00 period. I don't know if you can have a 00 and a 0. An NFL team cannot have a player where number 00. So it's only 0 that is available. At least that's per my quick chat GPT search there. So I don't think you can have 00. I certainly don't think you can have both 0 and 00. Watched most of the 2005 wildcard game against the Vikings in Lambeau and have no defense is unhealthy, man. I knew we were bad on D, but yeah, Tulio, I don't know why you would do that. Only watch positive things going into this weekend. Dano also said Arch Manning is the same generational talent as Lamar Jackson. You know what? Sometimes in the national media, you're going to get some things wrong. Sometimes in what I do, I get stuff wrong. It's a tough gig out there when you're talking about all of college sports, all of NFL, just all football in general. There's a lot to cover. There's a lot to cover. I don't know how I have so much respect for people like Mina Kimes who are able to keep tabs on everything. Like I feel like I have a really good thumb on things that are going on in the NFL in totality and keep a really good grasp of all that stuff. Like if I needed to talk about other teams today, I definitely feel like I could. But man, it is really difficult to stay on task with one team. Like honestly, guys, think about this. If I said something today, right, where I'm like, all of a sudden, like, yeah, I expect, what would be a good example? Yeah, I expect Corey Ballantyne to actually get some playing time at corner this week. And everyone looks at me like I'm an idiot because Corey Ballantyne's no longer on the team. Like you would be like just dumbfounded, right? Like if you miss one thing where like Corey Ballantyne got released and all of a sudden you just look like an absolute moron. It is really tough to keep track of everything just for one team and not get blasted for some wrong thing that you're saying, not to mention 32 teams plus college teams, etc. Now, I think that's why you have to take some of the national stuff in general with some grain of salt, because even people that are like myself who are focused on one team, there's going to be mistakes and it's just tough to cover everything, right? So trying to do it for 32, I mean, good freaking luck. There's just going to be some stuff that gets lost in translation at times. It's a tough gig. It's a really, really tough gig. Thank you for your dedication. My wife was laughing at me when I was very concerned when you weren't on the air right after the Micah trade. You had me worried, man. I appreciate you, Andy. Aaron, you have no idea how much I wanted to be on right away, like and going immediately. I was trying to do everything in my power. And as soon as I could get to my computer and the microphone, I was on air. I can promise you that. Evening all, what am I looking forward to? Why am I looking forward? No, what am I really looking forward to seeing is the edge watching and absorbing from Micah. All right, cool. Izzy, I'm cool with that. Edge Cooper is going to be a stud this year. I think he can be one of the best defensive players in all of football, no questions asked. And seeing Edge and Mike out there together is going to be really, really, really freaking fun. Is it just me or did Philly look a lot more beatable last night after watching that game again? We kind of talked about it, but just one game. Don't put too much stock into that in totality. Dak did his thing, played well in a regular season game. CD was a bummer. I was actually rooting for a Philly L. A Philly L probably would have been good from a Green Bay standpoint. There's a double-edged sword. If you're shooting for Green Bay to get the number 1 seed, right, then you want Philly to lose that game. You want as many losses for Philly as you can get at any given moment. You don't want them to stack up wins. If, however, you get to a point where maybe Green Bay suffers some injuries through the course of the year and you're just hoping for Green Bay to get into the playoffs, well, then there's a piece of you that just wants one NFC East team to dominate, one NFC South team to dominate, and one NFC West team to dominate. So like the Rams, the Buccaneers, and the the Eagles, for example, just have them take all the wins, have everyone else in their divisions suck, so that hopefully if you do struggle to 10-7 or something, you can still get into playoffs and face those teams down the road. But it just depends. But for now, I'm with you. I think watching the Eagles get a loss probably would have been better. I'm just going to make sure if I have any super chats here. All right, Braden, new member. Thank you, Braden. Been a while since I've been this jazzed about the pack. Ken, you and me both. It's a really fun time to be a Packers fan, no question about it. Izzy, Core, can I have a milestone as well? Go Pack Go, or Core, I have one. Member for 10 months. Izzy, thank you so much for that. And just really appreciate it. I mean, I go through it now and I see people that are members for 2 years and, 12 months, 10 months, 18 months. You guys, I cannot thank you enough. It really is a huge part of what we do. It sets me up to be able to do this full time. So thank you so incredibly much for that. Prediction for Romeo Doubs: 4 catches, 60 yards and a touchdown. 4 for 60 and a touchdown. What games are you going to this year? Do you have green package tickets? I have the normal package. Yeah, the green package. As of now, I am going to the Cincinnati Bengals game with 3 friends. So that one I will be covering in the stands. Probably not doing pre or post game show on that day. Certainly will not be in the press box or doing any of the Q&A with Matt LaFleur after the press conference with him after. So yeah, that's the one I'm going to now. As of right now, no other games that I'm going to as a fan or any games other than being in the press box. Big Bay Blue, thanks for all you do. I'm ready for the season. Big Bay Blue, thank you for being a member for 17 months. Mary, thank you so much for becoming a brand new YouTube member. Appreciate you. Can't wait to see if JJ McCarthy is legit. Brett, I am really excited to watch Bears Vikings, which is words I've never uttered before, I don't think. In general, as a Packers fan, watching Bears Vikings is not fun just because there's nobody to cheer for. Whether it's a good movie, a good wrestling match, a good football game, a baseball game, whatever it might be, you ideally would love a face and a heel, a team that you're cheering for and a team that you're cheering against. And that's what makes for really good must-watch TV. And when you're watching Bears Vikings, you have 2 heels. It's 2 bad guys going against each other in a wrestling match. It's like, I don't have anybody to cheer for here. I just want both of these people to lose. So in general, I would say I'm not usually excited for that matchup, especially like opening Monday Night Football. It's like, I don't need to see these 2 teams play. I just want them to kick the crap out of each other. But in this one, with the mystery boxes that are JJ McCarthy and Caleb Williams, I am really, really interested to see what those 2 offenses look like, and more specifically, what those 2 quarterbacks look like. It changes the NFC North, the NFC, and the NFL so much if with the wide range of outcomes here. Both of them could be Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks. And imagine how that changes the NFC North specifically. Both of them could be good, solid, we can win with these player starters right here and right now. JJ McCarthy has a very similar Sam Darnold type season. Caleb Williams is probably never going to be Jared Goff, but is capable of running the offense and then maybe making the spectacular happen every once in a while. Those are both possible outcomes. I think both of them could struggle, maybe just go through the learning curve a little bit and just not quite ready yet. I think both of them could be terrible. And like not only now, but long-term as well. I mean, the range of outcomes here between Pro Bowl or maybe even all pro quarterbacks and out of the league in 3 years are completely on the table for probably not out of the league, but you get my point, like not starting. That all of those are within the range of possibility right now. So this is going to be our first information gathering session of JJ McCarthy. Who is he as a quarterback? And Caleb Williams, what does he look like in Ben Johnson's offense? To me, it is must watch. So Brett, I'm right there with you. We were, if not top 10, it was right darn near close there. We were a top 10 defense without Jair. So I have still, this is why I talked about it all offseason. It was not a concern of mine. If they lost Jair, I didn't think they were going to bring him back. And I'm wishing him well in Baltimore, but I don't think that it's as big of a loss as maybe some people might think. Can Andy, you get a call from Goody who asked if you would like to be one of their scouts? Do you jump? The answer is probably no. It's probably my second dream job, only to being Goot himself. That being the actual GM would be number one. Being in their personnel department, whether it be as a scout or as an advisor or something like that, would be probably my second. It would depend. If Goody said, hey, we want you to do some scouting. We know that you watch a bunch of film anyway. Can we give you a list of things to do every week and you do it from your office and you just help us out on the side? Would you be willing to do something like that? Absolutely. I would take that in a second and say, whatever you need me to do, I got you. I wouldn't even need to get paid for it. Quite frankly, I'll pull a full Kramer and just show up and start working one day until they fire me. But yes, I would do something like that. If the ask was for me to go on the road full time as a full-time scout, traveling city to city, campus to campus watching college players, interviewing people, things like that, no chance. I mean, those guys make, minimal money based on what they're being asked to do. And so, not being able to do this, being on the road full time, making less money, like it's probably not going to be in the cards to do something like that. I would just take a second to be like, man, this is a really cool opportunity. It'd be fun to do, but to give up everything that I've built here to go do that and be on the road all the time, be away from my family, no chance I would do something like that. So something in the front office, and I can still do this. Yes, I would consider it. Anything besides that, and the answer is no. Honestly, this is a wholeheartedly true story. I think the only job that anybody could offer me in the world of anything, would be is if some team called and offered me the general manager job of a team. Wouldn't even, I hate to say this, I'm sorry, you can, sacrifice me if you want. It wouldn't even have to be the Green Bay Packers. I would take it with any team. Like, that's just, I mean, how can you say no to that? You get the general manager an NFL team. Sorry, I'm taking it. That would be the only thing. I don't think there's anything else I would give this up for. Sincerely, honestly, I love doing this, and I'm very lucky to get my runner-up dream job. Even if my dream job is never attainable, which is totally fine. I'm very happy getting the runner-up, no question. Andy, it's the 40th anniversary, 1985 Bears. Imagine the pain and frustration on the Bears fans' faces after a loss to the 5th quarterback drafted in his first game. It's well within the realm of possibility. By the way, for Caleb Williams and for Ben Johnson, you could not handpick a worse first opponent for a quarterback that has time to throw issues, who's trying to learn a new offense, than Brian Flores. Brian Flores will make every veteran quarterback cringe going into a game and make their head spin. For a quarterback like Caleb, who's still learning the offense and is trying to just understand reading defenses a little bit better and things like that, good luck, kid. We're about to now. If he goes out and tear it up, well, hello. Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams might be onto something, but that's a tough ask in week 1 under a new offense. That's why I'm picking Minnesota in that game, by the way. Zadarius went to the Eagles. Interesting. Yep, we talked about that just a little bit ago, but yes, very interesting deal there. All right, I do have to get out of here momentarily and pick up my son from soccer and then bring him to a different soccer. I want to see the game again when Jalen Carter is actually playing, but without him and Sweat Williams leaving, the Eagles' defensive line does not look as mean. Now, although they've got Jalen Carter coming back, and now they got Zadarius Smith as well. So with the thing I love about the Eagles is when they sense something is just a little bit off, man, they make adjustments quick. They don't wait around. They will trade. They will give away future assets. They'll find a new contract to give. They'll whatever incremental or even larger than incremental upgrade that they can make at any time. They are not afraid to make it. I mean, sincerely, I love that about Philly for sure. Another most hated has entered the chat. Most hated Minnesota, and hope you are doing well. It's been a while. I haven't seen you in a little bit, so I'm glad you're doing all right, and glad to see you back in chat here today. All right. Brandon, I think I thanked you, but appreciate you a ton. Zadarius is a good player. Is that shelf life a character thing? It just seems he starts to wear on teams very, very quick. Parsons snaps, we talked about that. I think somewhere between like 40 and 45 snaps, somewhere in that range. Andy, who do you think has the most upside between Quay Walker and Tyron Hopper, considering Hopper can be Quay's replacement if we move on from him next season? I think they have similar upsides. I think if you would have asked me, like, both coming out of college and just in general, like their player profile, if you told me both of them met their ceiling, I would have said Quay was the better player. But don't sleep on Tyron Hopper's upside. That is a made-to-order NFL linebacker, height, weight, speed profile, good physicality, good tenacity, plays the game the right way, can get sideline to sideline. There's a good player there. I really do think so. And I'm excited to see what he becomes. And I think just with the contract that you gave, Micah Parsons, and with the advent of, Tyron Hopper playing well in preseason, I think that does make Quay a lot more expendable this upcoming offseason. It would not shock me if Tyron Hopper and Edgerrin Cooper were your starting inside linebackers next year. Alex, great to see you. Think that the Rams are the team to beat in the NFC West. I said the same thing. Seattle and Arizona are trending up, whereas San Francisco is trending down with older players, injuries, etc. We're in the same boat, Ben. I'm right there with you. Alex, you are more than welcome. Appreciate the kind words, and happy I was able to provide you guys with 7 months of content with no actual football being played. It is a joy to get to do. Fun sometimes thinking of different content ideas to talk about, but we made it. We made it just a little bit, about less than 48 hours now, until kickoff, which is unbelievable. Division prediction result wise, Packers versus Vikings 2-0, Lions 1-1, Bears 2-0. Yeah, I'm cool with that, Izzy. That sounds about right. Adam, I think it's a great question. And Gibbs and Montgomery are going to test Green Bay early and often. I bet Gibbs gets a good one. I think Montgomery will run tough. I bet they've got like 25 for, I bet it's like 25 for like 104 and a touchdown on them. I bet they run it well, but not like exceedingly well. I don't think it's like the game decider, but that's a tough running back group to hold down in their entirety. And they've got some good offensive tackles to go along with it. They'll get some, but I don't think it's going to be catastrophic. Ray, hello to you as well. Based on what we know right now, how would you rank the 22, 23, and 24 Packers draft classes from best to worst? Oh, man. All right, so 22, Quay, Wyatt, Watson, Ryan, Dobbs, Tom, Enigbare, Carpenter, Ford, Walker, and Toure. 23, Van Ness, Musgrave, Reed, Kraft, Wooden, Clifford, Wicks, Brooks, Carlson, Valentine, Nichols, Johnson, and Dubose. 24, Morgan, Cooper, Bullard, Lloyd, Hopper, Williams, Monk, Oladapo, Glover, Pratt, and King. I'm going to go with 22 first. Starting inside linebacker, starting defensive tackle, starting wide receiver, starting guard, starting wide receiver, starting right tackle, rotational defensive end who has also started games, starting tackle. That's really good. And not to mention, I think the best player arguably in those three draft classes might also be Zach Tom. Edgerrin Cooper might have something to say about that at the end, as well as maybe some of the other ones, but I'm going to go with 22 first. I'm going to say 24 after that because of Edgerrin Cooper primarily. I think he's going to be a stud. I think you're going to get a Pro Bowl linebacker, a really good starting offensive lineman in Jordan Morgan, a starting at minimum caliber defensive back in Javon Bullard. I still think Marshawn Lloyd's going to be really good if he can stay healthy. Tyron Hopper is going to be a starter at linebacker. Evan Williams is a really good starter at safety already. Oladapo, I think, has the ability to be a potential starter down the road. And I think Travis Glover can be a depth piece as your 8th or 9th offensive lineman. So I'm going to say 22, 24, and then 23. But it's a good group to choose from. Yep, good to see Whelan get that money. All right, new super chat. Thanks for all you do, Andy. Looking forward to Sunday. Hayden, thank you so much for that. All right, I do have to get out of here. I'm going to get to the end here just to see if any new ones kind of came in recently. My wife and I are coming to Green Bay for an anniversary trip in December to watch the Ravens game. Any good local restaurant recommendations? For an anniversary, Play Bistro is fantastic. Get reservations. Get the pecan fashion. It's my favorite drink in Green Bay. It is ridiculously good. The atmosphere is amazing. Really, really good food. So I cannot recommend that enough. Play Bistro. It's on, it's a little bit away from the stadium. It's not close to the stadium, but it's a good one. Otherwise, Chives in like the Howard Swamico area. If you want to do something closer to the stadium, Hinterland is always good right next to the stadium. But those are definitely some of my go-tos. Blue in De Pere, also a good choice as well. But I would choose Play if I were in that situation. All right, a couple more here. You earn every single membership in Super Chat, Sir Tulio. That is kind of you to say. Micah is just a different dude. He ain't corporate. He's real. Yeah, he's what you want on this team. He's real. He's authentic. And I think you're going to really enjoy him being a Green Bay Packer. All right, we're going to end with Adam, who's now been a member for 2 months. Hoping for all the luck against Detroit. Andy, do you know of waxing gibbous is happening before the game? I do not know the moon patterns coming up. So somebody else is going to have to start a podcast on the different moon patterns and what it means for the Green Bay Packers. I'm not your expert there, but whatever it is, I hope it's a good sign for Green Bay. All right, friends, I will be back tomorrow, obviously, with a new show. I'll be back Sunday with a new show, and then pre and post game as well, live here on the YouTube channel. I will see you guys all very, very soon. Less than 48 hours away. Get yourself, you can probably have a Luiges Pizza for dinner tonight, breakfast pizza tomorrow, lunch, dinner tomorrow, breakfast pizza Sunday, lunch Sunday for the noon games, dinner during the Packer game, and then a late night victory pizza snack. You probably need 8 Luiges Pizzas just to get you between now and then. Now's a good time to go out and get those. Carter becomes a new member at the last second as well. I'll see you guys soon. Until next time. And as always, go Pack Go.